to me? After all I've given...
Changing paths to find redemption. Case Dutton's story is far from over, and if you thought Yellowstone wrapped things up neatly, think again. Because the brand new teaser for Why, Marshals just shattered expectations, revealing a side of Case that no one saw coming. He's trading ranch life for the badge of a U.S. Marshal, and the first look already promises danger, heartbreak, and a shocking new beginning. But what does this really mean for Case, for Tate, and for the Yellowstone legacy? Let's break it all down. The ending of Yellowstone left fans with more questions than answers, especially when it came to Case Dutton. We all remember the explosive deal in that controversial Season 5 finale when Case and Beth agreed to sell the majority of the ranch to Thomas Rainwater and the Broken Rock Reservation. The condition? The land could never be developed or sold again. It was a bittersweet compromise. Case was able to keep the East Camp for himself, Monica, and Tate, with just enough cattle to survive. At that point, it looked like the Dutton family saga would finally calm down. Case seemed destined to live a quieter life, raising his son and starting over with Monica. But if White Marshals proves anything, it's that Case was never built for peace. The official logline paints a striking new picture. Case Dutton, once a rancher, once a Navy SEAL, now joins an elite team of U.S. Marshals tasked with defending Montana against an outbreak of violence. And if the teaser is any indication, this isn't just a job change, it's a full transformation. The footage shows Case riding at full speed, his Marshal's badge glinting in the sun, chasing cars across the dusty Montana plains. Another clip features him watching over a train with his new team, and through a haunting voiceover, Case admits, "I'm changing paths, trying to find a new beginning." That one line tells us everything. Case is not just running toward duty, he's running from his past, from the loss of his father John, from the betrayal of his brother Jamie, from a marriage that may already be broken. And here's the kicker. Monica is nowhere to be found in this first look. Fans are already speculating, and honestly, it raises huge questions. Did Monica finally walk away after everything their family endured? Did she leave Tate with Case, or is she still part of his life in secret? The absence is loud, and it feels intentional, because Casey's journey has always been defined by family, but why? Marshall seems ready to push him into a world where family isn't a shield. It's a weakness. If Monica really is gone, then Case is starting over completely, stripped down to his core. A soldier, a father, a man in search of redemption. But what makes this spin-off so powerful is that it isn't erasing Yellowstone. It's building directly on its legacy. Case's struggles with duty versus family were always at the heart of the original show. He never wanted the ranch, but he couldn't escape it. He never wanted to be a killer, but he couldn't avoid bloodshed. And he never wanted to lose Monica, but maybe fate had other plans. Marshals takes those conflicts and magnifies them tenfold, placing Case in the middle of Montana's battles with violence, politics, and justice. And this time, he doesn't have the Yellowstone brand to fall back on. He only has the badge. The cast list already hints at the storm ahead. Luke Grimes is, of course, returning as Case, which feels like the natural evolution of his Yellowstone arc. Breckin Merrill is also back as Tate, and this might be the most complicated chapter for him yet. We've seen Tate go through kidnappings, shootouts, and more trauma than most adults could handle. But watching his father trade ranch life for the dangers of martial duty could completely reshape his character. Will Tate resent Case for dragging him into yet another violent world? Or will he finally understand the man his father truly is? That father-son dynamic could make or break this series. Gil Birmingham returns as Thomas Rainwater, which is huge for longtime fans. Rainwater has always played the long game, balancing tradition with strategy, and now, with Case in federal law enforcement, the stakes between them are higher than ever. Will Rainwater and Case become uneasy allies, or will their worlds collide again in unexpected ways? And of course, Mo Brings Plenty is back as Mo, loyal, silent, and deadly when necessary. His presence guarantees that this show won't just be about shootouts and fugitives, it will also be about alliances, betrayals, and the blurred line between justice and survival. But it's not just returning faces that make this spin-off compelling. The new additions could be game changers. Logan Marshall Green joins as Pete Calvin, one of Case's old Navy SEAL brothers, which instantly opens the door to exploring Case's military past, the part of him Yellowstone never fully unpacked. Ariel Kebble steps in as Belle, another U.S. Marshal, and fans are already whispering, will she become a new love interest for Case? The chemistry is hinted at in just a few shots, but nothing is confirmed yet. Then we have Ash Santos as Andrea, Tatanka Means as Miles, and Brett Cullen as Harry G. Ford, Casey's new boss. These characters set the stage for why Marshals to be more than a cowboy story. It's shaping up to be a gritty law enforcement drama with Yellowstone's DNA running through every frame. The real question is, can Case escape his family's shadow? Yellowstone was never shy about showing how the Duttons were haunted by their land, their legacy, and their bloodlines. Case stepping into the Marshals' world might feel like freedom, but as the teaser makes clear, ghosts follow you no matter how fast you ride. The voiceover doesn't sound like a man at peace, it sounds like a man who's desperate, and that desperation will drive everything in this new series. Case Dutton has always been a man caught between two worlds, but why? Marshals is setting him up for a clash like never before. In Yellowstone, his choices were torn between loyalty to his family and the desire to carve out a quieter life with Monica and Tate. But now, as a U.S. Marshal, those personal dilemmas transform into life-or-death stakes on a national scale. The teaser doesn't just show him chasing criminals, it shows him stepping into a role where violence isn't just a possibility, it's part of the job. And here's the chilling thought. What happens when a man who has already lost so much finds himself in a profession that demands sacrifice after sacrifice? The first trailer makes it clear that Case is still haunted by ghosts. Every frame of him on horseback or standing with his new team carries a weight that fans recognize immediately. This isn't the carefree cowboy energy of Season 1 Yellowstone Case. This is a man who has seen the cost of loyalty, of blood, and of betrayal, and who knows that redemption won't come cheap. His line, "I'm changing paths, trying to find a new beginning," isn't just a declaration, it's a confession. He's trying to outrun himself, but as we've seen across the Yellowstone universe, no Dutton has ever been able to escape their legacy. And this is where the biggest mystery begins: Monica. Her absence in the teaser is a thunderclap. Yellowstone fans know Monica was Case's anchor, his tether to a life outside of violence. Without her, who is he? Rumors suggest she finally left him, tired of watching their family drown in bloodshed. If that's true, then Tate's presence in Y Marshals becomes even more important. Is Tate living with Case full-time now? Is Monica completely out of the picture, or will she make a surprise return later in the season? Taylor Sheridan has always been strategic about holding back explosive reveals until the right moment, and something tells me Monica's story isn't over yet. Her disappearance is too big of a hole in Case's life to be ignored. What we do know is that Tate's involvement will add a heartbreaking layer to the new series. This is a boy who has already lived through kidnappings, land wars, and the near destruction of his family. Now he's being pulled into his father's dangerous new world of law enforcement. How does a teenager process the idea that his father has gone from rancher to U.S. Marshal? For Tate, the danger won't just be physical. It'll be psychological. Watching his dad ride into shootouts and stand face-to-face with violent criminals will either break him or make him stronger. And for Case, balancing the demands of his badge with the fragile well-being of his son could be the ultimate test of whether he's truly found a new beginning or if he's repeating the same mistakes under a different name. Meanwhile, the addition of Pete Calvin, played by Logan Marshall Green, could crack open Case's Navy SEAL past in ways Yellowstone never explored. We've always known Case carried scars from his time in the military, but the original series largely left those wounds unspoken. Now, with Pete on the scene as an old comrade, those memories, and the trauma that comes with them, are bound to resurface. Pete isn't just a fellow marshal, he's living proof of the part of Case's life that he tried to bury. Their relationship could bring both camaraderie and conflict, especially if Pete represents the darker choices Case once made. Sheridan loves to pit characters against mirrors of themselves, and Pete feels like exactly that for Case, a reminder of the man he was, and maybe a warning of the man he could still become. Then there's Belle, played by Ariel Kebbel. On the surface, she's another member of the Marshal team, but fans are already buzzing about the potential chemistry between her and Case. It's not hard to see why. Sheridan has a history of weaving complicated romantic dynamics into his shows. If Monica is truly gone, Belle could represent temptation, healing, or even more chaos for Case's personal life. But here's the thing. If Case does pursue something with Belle, it won't be easy. He's a man who carries guilt like a second skin, and any new relationship will be haunted by Monica's shadow. That's what makes this potential storyline so intriguing, because love in the Yellowstone universe has never been simple, and for Case, it could become his greatest strength or his most dangerous weakness. Of course, the return of Thomas Rainwater and Mo Brings Plenty ensures that this show won't just be about chasing fugitives. Rainwater's political ambitions and strategic brilliance were central to Yellowstone, and his reappearance here signals that Case's marshal duties will collide with native politics in Montana. How does a federal badge operate in territories that carry their own laws, traditions, and authorities? The friction between Rainwater's sovereignty and Case's federal jurisdiction could ignite some of the most intense conflicts of the series. And let's be honest, Case has never been the political mastermind of the Duttons. He's a man of instinct, not calculation, which means Rainwater could easily outmaneuver him, even as their goals overlap. Behind all these character dynamics lies the central theme. Can Case ever truly escape the Dutton curse? His father, John, spent his entire life fighting for land and legacy, only to lose it all in the end. Jamie destroyed himself with ambition. Beth is consumed by vengeance. Case was always supposed to be the one who could break the cycle, the one who could find peace. But why? Marshals is showing us a different reality. That even when Case leaves the ranch, leaves the land, and leaves Monica, he can't leave himself. He's drawn to violence, drawn to duty, and maybe even addicted to the fight. And that's what makes this new series so gripping. It's not just about what Case will do as a marshal, it's about what it will cost him. Will the badge give him purpose, or will it destroy him the same way the ranch destroyed John? Will Tate grow up resenting his father for chasing redemption in all the wrong places? Will Monica ever forgive him, or is she gone for good? Every answer feels like it could lead to another devastating twist, and Sheridan has never been one to hand out happy endings. The closer we look at why Marshals, the more it becomes clear that this is not just a spin-off, it's a reinvention. Yellowstone gave us Case Dutton, the conflicted son, the reluctant rancher, the man torn between a violent family legacy and his desperate need for peace. But this new series is stripping him down to his bones, forcing him into an identity crisis that will play out on the unforgiving frontier of Montana's violence. And the real genius behind it all? Taylor Sheridan knows exactly what fans crave. He's not simply handing us a cowboy-turned-lawman story. He's building another world where morality is gray, where alliances fracture, and where the cost of survival might be greater than the reward. Behind the camera, Sheridan is still steering the ship, but he's teamed up with Spencer Hudnut, who worked on SEAL Team. That alone tells us the show will dive deeper into Case's military past and tactical mindset. Expect high-stakes action sequences, intense shootouts, and operations that draw on Case's Navy SEAL training. In Yellowstone, Case's military background was more of a shadow hanging over him, mentioned but never fully explored. Here, it becomes central to the story, giving fans a chance to finally see what kind of soldier Case really was, and what kind of scars he brought home. This means why. Marshals isn't just a cowboy drama. It's part Western, part military thriller, part family tragedy. A hybrid only Sheridan could pull off. But what truly separates this show from Yellowstone is its scope. The Dutton Ranch always felt like a battlefield, yes, but its wars were personal. Family feuds, land disputes, old grudges. In why? Marshals, Case's wars are against forces far larger than himself. cartels, violent criminals, and political corruption in Montana's fragile balance of power. Yet here's the twist. Every external fight mirrors Casey's internal one. He can chase fugitives across the plains all day long, but he cannot outrun the question that has haunted him since Yellowstone began. Who is Case Dutton without the ranch? Without John's shadow? Without Monica? Fans are already debating how much of Yellowstone's DNA will carry over into this new story. The return of Rainwater and Mo ties the spin-off to its roots, but we're stepping into uncharted territory. What happens when a man like Case, who has always been reluctant to lead, is suddenly thrust into being the one who must enforce law and order in a land that doesn't respect either? That's the paradox at the heart of why. Marshals. Case never wanted to inherit the Dutton kingdom, but now he finds himself wielding authority even more dangerous than the Yellowstone brand. He's not just protecting his family anymore, he's protecting the state. And the weight of that responsibility could crush him. The supporting cast will be critical in shaping how this plays out. Pete Calvin, the old SEAL buddy, might serve as Case's anchor or his undoing. If Pete drags Case back into old habits, we could see a darker, more brutal version of him than ever before. Belle, on the other hand, could offer a chance at healing, but Yellowstone fans know better than to expect clean love stories. Sheridan thrives on tension, betrayal, and the messiness of human relationships. If Belle becomes important to Case, it will not be smooth. It will be complicated, it will be painful, and it will test how much Case has really let go of Monica. And then there's Tate. Let's not underestimate the fact that Sheridan cast Breckin Merrill again, even after Yellowstone seemed to sideline his character. That choice is deliberate. Tate's role will not just be background. He will be Case's greatest vulnerability. Every criminal Case faces, every mission he takes, will be shadowed by the risk that his enemies will use Tate against him. We've seen it before in Yellowstone, and it nearly destroyed Case. In Why? Marshals. The danger is magnified 100 times. If Tate is pulled deeper into his father's world, will he inherit the same cycle of violence that consumed the Duttons before him? Or will he finally be the one who breaks it? This is where Sheridan's storytelling mastery shines. He builds characters who are torn apart by their own choices, who want one thing but are forced into another. Case wanted peace, but life keeps pushing him toward violence. Monica wanted stability, but her world collapsed under blood and betrayal. Tate wants a normal childhood, but destiny keeps throwing him into danger. It's that constant tension between what they want and what they must do that makes this new series impossible to ignore. And let's not forget the political undercurrents. With Rainwater and Mo in play, Casey's marshal duties will inevitably cross paths with native sovereignty and Montana's fragile political landscape. Rainwater has always been a master strategist, and Case? He's a fighter, not a schemer. That imbalance could be Case's downfall. Or, in a surprising twist, his salvation, if Rainwater decides to use him as a pawn in a larger game. Either way, we know one thing. Sheridan doesn't put characters like Rainwater back on the board without a reason. Production-wise, CBS has confirmed Why. Marshals for a mid-season 2026 release, which means we're likely waiting until spring to see the full story unfold. And that timeline tells us something important. Sheridan and Hudnut are taking their time. They're crafting something big, something layered, something designed to stand on its own while still feeding the Yellowstone fandom's hunger. This isn't a throwaway spin-off, it's a cornerstone of Sheridan's growing universe. So where does that leave us? At the edge of our seats, honestly. Because Case's story was never finished, and now it's being rewritten in fire. The trailer shows us the action, the grit, the cowboy spirit. But beneath it all lies the tragedy of a man who can never escape his demons. Every badge he wears, every fugitive he catches, every train he guards, it's all a desperate attempt to find peace in a world that refuses to give it to him. The suspense is unbearable because we know how Sheridan works. He doesn't hand out easy victories. He gives us flawed heroes, impossible choices, and endings that cut deep. Which means one haunting possibility hangs over Why. Marshals. This might not be Case's redemption story. It might be his downfall. Will he finally find a life beyond the Dutton curse, or will he become just another casualty of it? Will Tate inherit the cycle or break free from it? Will Monica return, or is her absence the wound that will define him forever? These are the questions that will keep fans talking until the premiere. And that's why Marshals isn't just a spin-off. It's the next chapter in a saga that refuses to let go. Case Dutton's new beginning may shock us, it may break us, and it may even change how we see the entire Yellowstone universe. But one thing's for sure, this is not the end of the Dutton story. It's only the beginning of a darker, more dangerous path